Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to علوم اللغة القرآن. أولا الصرف الابتدائي Quranic Linguistics Level 1 Introductory Arabic Morphology. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Let's start by getting ourselves familiar with this textbook. This is level 1 of Quranic Linguistics series. Of course, this is not the first course in Arabic for anyone. It assumes you've had easy introduction to Arabic books 1 and 2 before, or equivalent knowledge of Arabic, which could be acquired in about 6 months or more. And what we're going to do, let's take a look at the table of contents quickly here, sort of give us the bird's eye view. So this book is divided up into 4 units. Each unit has a certain theme and it has lots of chapters. The first unit is basic triliteral verb, al-fi'l al-thulathi al-mujarrad. We're going to look at its conjugation and patterns. And we will start our study by looking at the morphology tree, which will be the lesson today. And in morphology tree, we will look at the 2 major branches. Then we will look into fi'l. We'll spend most of the time looking at fi'l, the 6 doors, focusing primarily on form 1. We will then look at al-maf'ul bihi. Now, some of this material will look a little familiar because we have covered this material at a very basic level. Here, however, we will do a more technical analysis. We'll look at the passive. We'll also look at the weak verbs. That's unit 1. Unit 1 is all about verbs, form 1 verbs, identifying the doer and the object. And we'll look at many examples of the Quran. We will build vocabulary as well. In unit 2, we will look at masdar, something called al-masdar. Now, masdar has never been introduced. It has not been introduced or discussed in Easy Introduction to Arabic Book 1 and 2. But masdar is one of the most powerful words in the Arabic language. It's a verbal noun. You can think of it as a verbal noun. And then we'll look at kana. Kana is something we did look at in the previous level. We'll compare masdar and kana. And then we'll look at how masdar is used in different grammatical functions. So unit 2 is all about the masdar. And we will also look at how masdar compares with kana. Masdar is used a lot in the Quran, as well as hadith. And then in unit 3, we will look at the children of masdar. Masdar is the mother, and she has children. And these children are called al-mushtaqat. There are 10 derivatives, al-mushtaqat al-ashara min al-asma. 10 derivatives that are nouns that are derived from masdar. And in the previous versions of level 1 of Quranic Linguistics, we only talked about the 7 derivatives. This version is an enhanced, more advanced version. We will look at 10 derivatives, starting with Ismul Fa'il. Now, Ismul Fa'il should sound a bit familiar to you because we did it in level book 1 of Easy Introduction to Arabic. And then Ismul Maf'ul and other derivatives. And we'll spend a lot of time looking at all the different patterns of derivatives. And that's it. That's unit 3. So in unit 4, we'll look at some miscellaneous topics that may not have been covered in any one of these particular units. So that's just a quick introduction to the table of contents, quick introduction to this book through the table of contents. Now, this is unit 1. البحث الأول الفعل الثلاثي المجرد. Basic triliteral verbs. In other words, form 1. Now, you are familiar somewhat with forms. You've done Form 1, Form 2, Form 3, and Form 4 in Easy Introduction to Arabic, Book 1. So here we will look at a more technical analysis. Now, before I move on, I encourage you to subscribe to my YouTube channel. You will get access to latest videos, lots of interesting content. Some of the content on YouTube channel I may refer to for enhancement, for extra credit, or what have you. And here's the link to my YouTube channel. You can just look it up as Quranic Linguistics. And I can just put the link here. This is the link to my YouTube channel. youtube.com/c, little c, and then Quranic Linguistics. So without further ado, let's get into the first lesson in this textbook. The first lesson in this textbook is what I call the morphology tree. It's just a diagram that gives you a bird's eye view of Arabic morphology, and not just a bird's eye view, but specifically we'll look at the two major branches of Arabic morphology, okay? The two, because Arabic morphology has more branches. This tree, or this diagram, really is two major branches of Arabic morphology. And this entire textbook, as well as the Advanced Quranic Linguistics Level 3 Advanced Morphology, are dedicated to these two branches of Arabic morphology for most part. Plus, there are other branches that are also covered in the Advanced Morphology book, which is QL3, Quranic Linguistics Level 3. So what are the two major branches of morphology? Well, let's look at this tree. Ilm al-Sarf, the science of morphology, or simply as-Sarf, or Arabic morphology, can be thought of as having two areas. What do we study in as-Sarf? We study two things primarily. Al-Ishtiqaq, which is derivation, how to derive, what are the derivatives, how to derive the children, the derivatives from the mother, who is the masdar. And al-awzan, the patterns, right? We looked at the patterns. You should be familiar with the patterns of Form 1, Form 2, Form 3, Form 4, the fa'ala and af'ala. We spent some time looking at those patterns in Book 1 of Easy Introduction to Arabic. But that was not all. That was just a very basic introduction. In this book, we will dive deep into the world of Arabic patterns. Let's look at this left leg, the left branch first. Al-awzan, patterns in the Arabic morphology, are either triliteral or quadliteral, meaning that they are based off of 3-letter roots or 4-letter roots. The vast majority of words in the Arabic language are based on 3-letter roots. When I say vast majority, if I had to guess, I would say 95% at least, if not 99%. And then there is a small category of words that are quadliteral, not triliteral. So you have triliterals and you have quadliterals, okay? Now the triliterals are further divided up into two branches. You've got Form 1, which is mujarrad. Mujarrad means bare bones, naked, basic. Mujarradu thulathi, the basic Form 1, basic or triliteral. And you have mazid, which is extra. Mazidu thulathi, which are advanced triliterals. So triliterals are of two types: basic, which is just form 1, and advanced, which are forms 2 through 10. Now, in Easy Introduction to Arabic, we spent some time looking at basic triliterals, which are form 1, like shariba, yashrabu, ishrab, kataba, yaktubu, uktub, daraba, yadribu, idrib, and many other words. We looked at dozens of those words and we identified them in the Quran. So you should have some familiarity, but I will cover them again. And this time, of course, we will do a more technical analysis. Forms 2 through 10, well, we covered forms 2, 3, and 4 only in Easy Introduction to Arabic Book 1. Now, if you're forgotten or if you're a little rusty, don't worry. It will all come back as I cover this. Inshallah, it will all come back. So I don't expect you to remember and memorize 100% of the content that we covered in Easy Introduction to Arabic Book 1 or Book 2. I just expect you to have some familiarity so that when I cover it here, it does ring a bell. Inshallah, it will all come together. So what is form 1? Well, form 1 is represented by this pattern, fa'ala or fa'ila or fa'ula. So every form 1 word will be either fa'ala like kataba, or fa'ila like alima, or fa'ula like hasuna. Now forms 2 through 10, fa'ala, that's form 2, fa'ala, form 3, and af'ala. You may have forgotten those patterns. You may know them just roughly, or you may know them very well. Doesn't matter. When I talk about these, inshallah, when I cover these in this textbook, it will all come back. I will, inshallah, review quickly and then give you more material, inshallah. So in book 1 and book 2, we covered forms 2, 3, and 4. This is form 2, fa'ala, form 3, fa'ala, af'ala is form 4. And so in this textbook, we will not do forms 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. These forms are covered in the QL3, Level 3 Advanced Arabic Morphology book. This book will primarily be about Form 1 morphology with some application to Forms 2, 3, and 4, because this is an introductory Arabic morphology course. In the advanced course, we will dive deep into the semantics and i'lal and idgham and ibdal and all those other fun stuff in book 3, inshallah, of Quranic Linguistics. This book will focus primarily on this right side, this branch right here, this branch right here, Mujarrad al-Thulathi form 1. The other forms, the quad literals, Mujarrad al-Rubai, are out of scope. We will not talk about them here, but we will talk about them in Advanced Morphology course QL3. So both of these we will not talk about. We will not reference them. And they have relatively very few words in the Quran, from forms 11 and then 12 through 14, very few words. So our primary focus in this textbook is going to be form 1 morphology with some application, limited application to forms 2, 3, and 4. That's from the perspective of al-awzan, patterns. From the perspective of al-ishtiqaq, derivation, we will dive deep into masdar, again, form 1 masdar primarily, because every form has a masdar. And we'll also have limited application to forms 2, 3, and 4 masdar. Masdar is the verbal noun. It's like the mother of all words. And we'll look at the children of masdar. You can think of masdar as a mother word, and she has 10 children from the nouns. These are called mushtaqat, or derivatives, like ismul fa'il, ismul maf'ul, and ismul balagha. These 3 derivatives you have already gotten a taste of in book 1 of Easy Introduction to Arabic. But if you've forgotten them, or you skip them, or somehow you don't have that, no problem. We will look at them again, and we'll take more detailed analysis, inshallah. We'll do more detailed analysis. And then we'll look at other derivatives that we never even talked about in book one, such as as-sifat al-thabita, ism al-taftil, sifat al-imtila' wal-khulu, and so on and so forth. So all of these will be covered slowly but surely, inshallah, in this textbook. So this is an overview, a bird's eye view of morphology. Ilm al-sarf, two main branches of morphology. Arabic morphology deals with nouns and verbs only. Al-asma and al-af'al faqat. Only nouns and verbs are studied in Arabic morphology. We don't study harf or huruf, like the harf al-jar or harf al-nafi or harf al-ataf, the prepositions, the conjunctions, and the negation. All those particles we studied in Easy Intro to Arabic book 2, so that we know what they are, what their meanings are. But morphology has nothing to do with particles or huruf. Morphology only deals with asma wal af'al, specifically awzan of asma and af'al and ishtiqaq. So that's a quick overview of Arabic morphology. In the next lesson, we'll look at verb. What is a verb and what are the three types of verbs? والحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين.